Today is January 9th, 2026. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today on the Big Book, we are finally getting into real numbers here. We'll be reading the first part of page 1 of Bill's story. And out of the 12 and 12, we are continuing step 1. We'll be reading the first half of page 22. And of course, we'll read the 24 hours a day and daily reflection. So with that, hope y'all are doing well this morning, my friends. It is Friday. That's always a good thing. We're wrapping up the week, and hopefully we'll get a little bit of rest on the weekend. But hey, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's just one day at a time. So let's get to the good stuff. All right, so we wrapped up the doctor's opinion yesterday, and man, what a powerful little letter that was, talking about the physical allergy, the obsession of the mind, and how he has seen men recover who have tried this program, and not just tried to, pour their heart into this program, and they've almost become completely different people. Well, now we're moving into chapter 1, Bill W.'s story here, and this is a powerful story as well, where we see the progression of the disease here. We see how completely chaotic and destructive it becomes in Bill's life. And then we see this absolutely monumental, life-changing experience happen to him. And honestly, this is pretty much the birth of AA as it happens in his life. So we get this story before we even get to any of the steps. But again, it's another powerful example of what this program and a spiritual experience or awakening can do. So with that, let's get to it. We are going to be reading the first half of the page. Chapter 1, Bill's story. War fever ran high in the New England town to which we knew young officers from Plattsburgh were assigned. And we were flattered when the first citizens took us to their homes, making us feel heroic. Here was love, applause, war, moments sublime with intervals hilarious. I was part of life at last. In the midst of the excitement, I discovered liquor. I forgot the strong warnings and the prejudices of my people concerning drink. In time, we sailed for over there. I was very lonely and again turned to alcohol. We landed in England. I visited Winchester Cathedral. Much moved, I wandered outside. My attention was caught by a doggerel on an old tombstone. Here lies a Hampshire grenadier, who caught his death drinking cold small beer. A good soldier is never forgot, whether he die by musket or by pot. Ominous warning, which I failed to heed. Out of the 12 and 12 we're on step 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Top of page 22. When we first challenged to admit defeat, most of us revolted. We had approached AA expecting to be taught self-confidence. Then we had been told that so far as alcohol is concerned, self-confidence was no good whatever. In fact, it was a total liability. Our sponsors declared that we were the victims of a mental obsession so subtly powerful that no amount of human willpower could break it. There was, they said, no such thing as a personal conquest of this compulsion by the unaided will. Relentlessly deepening our dilemma, our sponsors pointed out that our increasing sensitivity to alcohol, an allergy they called it, the tyrant alcohol wielded a double-edged sword over us. First, we were smitten by an insane urge that condemned us to go on drinking, and then by an allergy of the body, we ensured that we would ultimately destroy ourselves in the process. Few indeed were those who, so assailed, had ever won through in single-handed combat. It was a statistical fact that alcoholics almost never recover on their own resources. And this had been true, apparently, ever since man had first crushed grapes. In AA's pioneering time, none but the most desperate cases could swallow and digest this unpalatable truth. Even these last gaspers often had difficulty in realizing how hopeless they actually were. But a few did. And when these laid hold of AA principles with all the fervor with which the drowning seized life preservers, they almost invariably got well. That's why the first edition of the book, Alcoholics Anonymous, published when our membership was small, dealt with low bottom cases only. Many less desperate alcoholics tried AA, but did not succeed because they could not make the admission of hopelessness. "24 hours a day, January 9th. AA thought for the day. When we were drinking, most of us had no real faith in anything. We may have said that we believed in God, but we didn't act as though we did. We never honestly asked God to help us, and we never really accepted His help. To us, faith looked like helplessness. But when we came into AA, we began to have faith in God, and we found out that faith gave us the strength that we needed to overcome drinking. Have I learned that there is strength in faith? Meditation for the day. I will have faith, no matter what may befall me. I will be patient, even in the midst of troubles. I will not fear the strain of life because I believe that God knows just what I can bear. I will look to the future with confidence. I know that God will not ask to bear anything that could overcome or destroy me. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may put this day in the hands of God. I pray for faith so that nothing will upset me or weaken my determination to stay sober. Daily Reflection, January 9th. An act of providence. It is truly awful to admit that, glass in hand, we've warped our minds into such an obsession for destructive drinking that only an act of providence can remove it from us. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 21. My act of providence, a manifestation of divine care and direction, came as I experienced the total bankruptcy of active alcoholism. Everything meaningful in my life was gone. I telephoned Alcoholics Anonymous and, from that instant, my life has never been the same. When I reflect on that very special moment, I know that God was working in my life long before I was able to acknowledge and accept spiritual concepts. The glass was put down through this one act of providence, and my journey into sobriety began. My life continues to unfold with divine care and direction. Step 1, in which I admitted I was powerless over alcohol, that my life had become unmanageable, takes on more meaning for me, one day at a time, in the life-saving, life-giving fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. All right, my friends, that concludes today's reading, and man, some great stuff as always. Really could relate to the 24 hours a day reading, talking about faith. I heard this line from Faith one time that faith is not the absence of doubt. Faith is trust in the presence of doubt. And as I look at my life, especially in sobriety, all I've got to do oftentimes is just open those old journals and I see all the things that I wrote down that were bothering me because I used to write a lot more in the evenings, and I need to bring that back, as a matter of fact. But I would write about things that were, disturbing my serenity at that time. And then, years later, I'd go back and I'd look at things I wrote 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, and they're not even a thought in my mind anymore. And that's just tangible evidence that bolsters my faith. And then when I remember my lowest point before I finally took step 1, I think to think about my life now in sobriety, and that bolsters my faith. And then I hear from you all, whether it be a random email telling you about your sobriety story, or I'm in a fellowship and people are sharing their experience, strength, and hope. That bolsters my faith. But do I still have doubts sometimes? Sure. Absolutely I do. I can still dive right into that self-hatred when I make a mistake. But thankfully, I still trust that my higher power is working because I've seen some tangible evidence in my life. And I know he is. So again, for me, it's faith, is trust, even in the presence of doubt. And I trust in my higher power that he's working. But my friends, please know I don't speak on behalf of AA, Al-Anon, NA, any other sect or denomination. I'm just a random guy narrating these texts, and it's an honor to be here. And I would love to hear from you all. A friend of mine, Matt B., he reached out a while ago. He had a great idea. It's something that I've been trying to ask for. So if you ever want to share your experience, strength, and hope, call into the little hotline. It's like, I think you can record at least 2 minutes worth of information, and I can edit that into the show. I'd be honored to share your experience, strength, and hope. Or if you ever have just an email where you want to share your story, I'd be honored to narrate that on the show. Maybe at the end of the readings or something. I would definitely love to share your experience, strength, and hope, because once again, it blesses me, it bolsters my faith, and it might help somebody else too. So with that, my friends, I hope you'll have a great one. If you are sober today, you're a miracle. If you're not sober, I hope you know that you are worthy of recovery. And if we are given another set of 24 hours, I sincerely look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.